What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Conversation Station. This episode, we're going to be reviewing the creature Commandos on Max. It's a new show written by James Gunn, written for the new DCU, and everybody's been pretty excited about it, and just finished the newest episode today, so I'm ready to talk about it. Now, there's been a lot of excitement for this show, which is absolutely expected because this is the first installment of the new DCU, so this kind of paints a picture of the direction we're going with, all the superhero films we're going to be seeing soon, and just references to things we may or may not see in the future, as well as things we've seen before. We have Viola Davis coming back to play Amanda Waller, and I'm so happy she's willing to come back in both animated and real forms to play her as often as possible, because she just does the character so well that it's one of those things where I don't think seeing somebody else in those shoes wouldn't do it justice. So I'm glad she comes back and plays the role in just about everything they allow her and need her to do it. We also have Alan Tudyk for Dr. Phosphorus. We have David Harbour for Frankenstein. This has really been like a star-studded cast, and it's really cool just to watch these people do their voice animation work. It's definitely been a great series. I was excited for it. I just, took my time kind of getting to it. But luckily, I was able to enjoy, episodes getting off work. It's definitely an amazing setup to the show. I really like how they dive into, the character's past with each episode, revealing bits and pieces about every character we're seeing and seeing why, they're acting the way they are and why they are in the positions that they are in. Creature Commandos is a lot like Suicide Squad in the way that this is a team put together by Amanda Waller, full of freaks and creatures and monsters and other people from that they have locked up, and they're just using them to essentially fight their battles and do these Black Ops missions that they can't have anybody else do. And of course, they're supposed to be kind of anti-heroes, but eventually you grow to care about them. You see their stories, and some stories are more traumatic than others, and some are just crazy. I mean, all the stories are traumatic, but they're traumatic in different ways for different reasons, and which, a lot of that has to do with the writing, and that was just so good as far as the storytelling to, like I said, have these people and these creatures and, be able to develop these real emotions for them because, in a sense, they were people, or, they were, I don't know, I wouldn't say normal, but, they attempted to have a normal life at some point. And now they're just trying to deal with this ragtag tag team that they got put together. Now, their entire mission this season was to save a princess of a fake country, Pokolistan, from Cersei. And Cersei was trying to kill her for some reason, and the reason being was Cersei, gets revealed, but Cersei essentially believes that she's going to take over the world, kill everybody, and she shows Amanda Waller a premonition of all the Justice League dead on spears and just in horrible ways. And Amanda Waller obviously, takes this as a serious threat and believes her, unfortunately. And it's a real twist of a story, and that's part of the fun part. And honestly, getting to this last episode, I mean, there's one final twist, and it was really good, honestly. That brings you into the next season, and you really don't know what is going to happen. But yeah, it was just, the main mission is just them protecting this princess from Cersei. And, they end up getting their hands on Cersei and learning that the princess is essentially, possibly going to be responsible for the annihilation of everything and just taking over everybody. And, they have to, decide whether or not that's a plausible threat and whether or not this princess does need to be killed. They end up sending her back in, obviously, sending them back in to try to kill this princess because they think the threat is credible. And in between all of this, we're learning all about their stories. We have the bride who, obviously was created by Victor Frankenstein and, created for, Frankenstein himself, and just ended up, it ended up being not the love story that Frankenstein wanted, unfortunately. It was just a terrible situation. It was a tragedy, and he stalked her through, all of time, basically, and, it was just a shitty situation. It was terrible. It's definitely a good twist on a known tale. So that was interesting. That was a cool way to do that one. Leading into, and that's what I loved. Like, I love that they did that breakdown. I mean, I know it's been done, but it's as long as it's done right, it's always enjoyable. To be able to go back into the episodes and see, part of these people's past it was really interesting. Definitely the two most heartbreaking were, Dr. Phosphorus and Weasel. I definitely thought Weasel was going to be actually responsible for, not killing some kids, but probably killing somebody. But, as you get to see in his episode, that unfortunately that was just a misunderstanding, that, he wasn't trying to hurt any kids. Unfortunately, the kids just kind of snuck into the school and things went bad. It just was a really, really unfortunate situation, and that one was extremely sad. Just to see him, the pain that he was in the end, and how he was trying to really save that little girl. It was, that was hard. It was hard to watch, and for the animators, I can't imagine like that. It must have been hard to draw that scenes with the kids dying and stuff. It was crazy. It's definitely an adult show. There's people online saying like, "Oh, this show's for immature people." Like yeah, you could say that for certain scenes, but there's certain scenes where, this is definitely not made for the immature mind. You definitely have to, you have to be willing to see some stuff like that. And like I said, this is an adult-themed show. It may be animated, it may be superheroes and comic books, but this is definitely an adult-themed show. And those scenes like that, and as well as, how Dr. Phosphorus came to be how he was, with him trying to essentially cure cancer. And he got in bed with the wrong people, which is a tale as old as time, trying to do the right thing and just need more money or more resources or whatever, and you unfortunately invite the wrong people in, and he ended up getting basically framed for killing his own family. It was just awful, and it was unfortunate, and you could see how he became so heartless and just like he really didn't care, just took over the crime world and just kind of did his own thing and had really no remorse or heart for it after that. But it's like, honestly, after the things he went through, who would? He's not a terrible person, as we see later. He's playing with that kid that he didn't necessarily want to leave a witness, but at the same time, I don't think he wanted to kill that kid. And he didn't. He just played with her, was really nice to her. And obviously, I'm sure it reminded him of his daughter, as we see. It was crazy. Those two episodes were difficult. They were tough, like, to watch, just, as a parent, obviously, but it's just reiterates one of those things. Like, this is an adult show. It's an adult-themed show with very, very hard material, and but it just ingrains you into the characters more, in my opinion. I enjoy watching, the growth and the way they act, and, like I said, seeing the effects of how they, the effects of what they went through versus, how they act today. Obviously, Phosphorus was caught by Batman, and everybody was extremely excited about that. We see in an interview that James Gunn was definitely telling the animators or the drawers, like, hey, more silhouette, like, hide Batman more, because, as far as that's been said, they're not sure where they're going to go with the Batman of this new DCU yet, whether he's going to be, older, or where he's going to be at in his Batman career. So that's definitely, it was exciting to see. It was exciting just to see the silhouette of Batman standing up there, and that mystery is always awesome. Great character, so just cool to see him kind of drop in. Had to be once, right? But obviously you get a look at more characters with the look at the future that Cersei shows. She shows Superman, Batman, Peacemaker, all these heroes on spikes, dead. So that's a little shot at, obviously animation-wise, but it's still a shot at, what these heroes look like, at least in animation. And this final episode was a really good wrap-up to the whole season. Where we go from here is, honestly, anybody's guess. James Gunn has done such a great job with the writing that, it's been great to watch. G.I. Robot was also another interesting story, not so much sad, it was just kind of wild. Like, he was programmed to kill Nazis, and that's what he did. He did it well. He protected his platoon, and he was happy about it. But unfortunately, much like, happens with, humans as well, I think that was kind of the point of it. It was like he got forgotten, left for decades until he ended up in the army closet of, unfortunately, like a white supremacist and, a Nazi. Like a New Age Nazi, though, and he ends up slaughtering all those people. And it's like, part of you is like, man, it sucks that he killed all those people, but, like, they were Nazis. But, like, yeah, you get it. That's why he went to prison, because he killed a bunch of unarmed people in a building. But it's like that was his programming. I mean, they kind of unveiled their swastika, and if you have a robot that's programmed to kill Nazis, I mean, even the robot's like, oh boy. So like, it was like a funny episode up until obviously it turns to tragedy, and it sucks that his AI doesn't have a way to like differentiate between obviously these people and like what a real Nazi is. And we even see that later as like the enemies are attacking, and Rick Flag is just like, hey, these are the Nazis, and like gives him the, like, oh, okay. Like you can clearly see there's a flaw in his programming. Like he doesn't really care if they're Nazis, he just wants you to call them Nazis so he can kill them. So that's it's definitely, that was a cool story. It was interesting. Michael Rooker played Sam. So that was really cool. It was another one of those little people James Gunn likes to work with, putting the people you like to work with and the stuff that you into your work. And that just goes hand in hand with, like, if you like the people you work around, why wouldn't you want to work with them more? Why wouldn't you put them in your stuff so that way you can work with them more? I mean, it just makes sense. And I mean, that's just for all the complaints of like, oh, he comes over from Marvel or whatever. One funny little shot at Marvel that James Gunn did allow, or I don't know if he wrote it in there, but the Bride did call Phosphorus Ghost Rider in the last episode, so that was pretty funny. That definitely was interesting. That was a little shot for sure, little rib jab. So that was cool. That was definitely a funny one, and also this final episode was just a really good wrap up to the season. It was definitely the resolution I was looking for, at least. Now, Rick Flag Sr. wasn't in this the last episode as much, mainly because he got his ass kicked by Clayface. Him and Frankenstein fought Clayface pretty well, and they splattered him all over a living room. So, but Flag got pretty messed up, so he was out of commission in this last mission, so it left the team to go pretty much by themselves with the Bride as the leader. And it was just left with the Bride, Nina, Weasel, and Phosphorus to go back and essentially kill the princess after they were ordered to protect her first, save her from Cersei. So they went back to kill her. But in the meantime, while they were trying to kill her, unfortunately they got news that Cersei was lying, and so Waller decided while they were in the middle of trying to kill her to not kill the princess. So obviously, as they're trying to call it off, Nina, the fish, unfortunately went out there to stab her and kill her. And the Weasel wanted to save her because she reminded him of the little girl that he lost in the fire. So that, and she played fetch with him, and it just kind of like, he was just emotionally attached to her. So he just tried to save her, and unfortunately, she killed Nina in the water, which was really, that was really heavy. And it sucks, It was cool that they let it be the last episode with her backstory behind it, and you get to see everything she had to go through and why she is the way she is. She obviously wasn't born that way. She was unfortunately mutated because she had to survive. And, she was obviously the most reluctant one on the team, the nicest one, the most human out of all of them. Most, at least in touch with their humanity, more than all of them. She didn't want to kill anybody or anything, so it was just unfortunate. She definitely didn't deserve it. Kind of deserved it, but, it was just a shitty circumstance. But her story was awesome. It was told really well. And I'm, kind of hoping they do some kind of thing where they have her in a tank and they heal her somehow, hopefully. But with the way it looks, that might not be the case. But, it's superhero stuff. You never know who you're going to end up seeing floating in a tank. Like, oh, yeah, we rescued him. I mean, Weasel was supposed to be dead, and he clearly came back. So you just never know who you might see again, the possibilities. But, she definitely might be dead for the long run. And, as we see at the end of the episode, the Bride gets kind of a new team, new members to her team. We get to see King Shark hanging out, so as well as some others. So it's definitely going to be cool to see them go into this next season. I hope we get more seasons and definitely more stories as we go on. I hope we kind of as the second season, I hope we kind of stray away from backstories and stuff like that and just go full on into being along for the ride and being with the episodes, whatever it's going to entail. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this just as much as I'm looking forward to any live action DCU project. I think James Gunn is going to do a fantastic job. I mean, not just because of what he did at Marvel, just because I don't think they would have hired him if they would have thought he was going to do anything different. This is going to be an enjoyable ride. It's it's going to be something worth watching, hopefully. And as far as what we're going to see next, coming from the next thing, obviously the big live action thing coming is Superman. That's what everybody's waiting for. And until then, we're going to have anything we have to hold us over, as far as like trailers and stuff like that, and stuff like this. So it's just an enjoyable experience. If you get any time to watch the show, I definitely would recommend it. I find it a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I enjoyed every second of it. There wasn't really anything and no problems I had with it. It was good to watch. It was just one of those series that I hope it keeps going. I hope they keep developing these stories and telling them in ways that make us feel closer to these monster characters. And if you spend any time watching this video, I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you again. Thank you.